Alright, welcome to the Clown Audit. We're going to be auditing Apologetics Canada again because they keep irritating me, unfortunately. Now, you know, whenever you turn over a rock and you see a whole bunch of rot, there's nothing you can do except for remove the rot. You know, so we're addressing this full-fledged now, and you know, the gloves are coming off. Wes, I'd love to debate you, man. I really would, because it seems like you only take debates with people that you're positive you'll win against. It's quite embarrassing with your PhD how you still aren't able to dance around people, but, you know, if you'd like to have a dance, we can go. Now, we're going to look at Sadie Huff and her talking about Duck Dynasty and her life there and how her life's been a various struggles of Christianity and, you know, seeing how life is for people who have to struggle, right, Wes? And we're gonna go ahead and listen to her story, and she's gonna break into something real weird here, real quick. It's gonna go from like just two Christians talking to heretical in like 4.5 seconds. So
big situation, but I'm like, oh, you get it though. It's very similar in some of those dynamics. But yes, before we ever had a TV show or known for
which, by the way, the TV show itself, it's so fake. It's so fake. She wants to use her I'm down from the south, and I'm in a small community of small people. We have more chickens than people, because that tries to give herself credibility. These guys are just clowns. They're clowns on TV. That's all that they are. They have no real credentials in the real world.
You know, we joke that there's like more chickens than people, and it's kind of just true. Like
it's got a small population.
We love the Word of God, sang the hymns,
she's a part of a bigger
and
family
we
now.
lived on the Christian youth camp that
over,
my dad was like also the maintenance guy.
Her dad was like
and so
Christian.
It's funny because when people think about my background, they think like Duck Dynasty and fame, but we grew up country kids who love the Lord, and there's videos of me at 5 years old preaching on the countertop to my parents, saying like.
Her family, her entire family, the Duck Dynasty family, their entire thing it's a gimmick. It's a gimmick. They're not even like, they're from Louisiana. That's about it. They have an accent, and they like to wear camo. Where I'm from, there's real dudes who wear camo.
It's actually crazy. It was very prophetic before we knew.
Okay. It was prophetic
to use that word, but I literally was preaching on the counter to my parents. It's on video, and I say, even if I get famous one day, I'm not gonna think of myself.
She just said that her having some sort of possible foresight, it makes her prophetic. This is the level of people we're dealing with here, and if Wes Huff doesn't jump in and like throw a red flag right away, that's crazy, because for her to claim prophecy as a child is heretical. It's super heretical.
I'm gonna give it to God, which is so hilarious that I said because there was no signs of fame. Like I just painted the picture. Small town business. Like how does that equal fame? It doesn't. Like, and so this was like not like everybody knows about Jesus. I went to church.
You know, like who is actually that's such a scripted thing. I was praying that I could find more people to preach about God to. Like what? What are you even talking? Because everybody that I knew about God already. You sound like not real. You don't sound. You sound like you're full of crap.
Wednesday night, I went to church on Sunday morning, and my school was a Christian school, so I'd be like, "Give me somebody to tell this story."
In all of these institutions, were Christian in name, but were they actually Christian? Were the people inside obeying the laws of Christ? Were they following Christ even? I wish the academic
totally
over here would jump in
but God did
give us
so
some
much
knowledge.
in my heart before then, which I think is really unique because I was young when the show started, but my faith had really been cultivated to be my own. I had an opportunity to play basketball.
My faith had been cultivated to be my own. Okay.
Which is random, but play basketball overseas, and my parents couldn't afford to come with me, so I went with the team, but they didn't come with me, and so I was in Austria for...
Okay, so you went to Austria, and it was so sad your family couldn't come with you, but you know, you're prophetic, so I guess that doesn't matter.
10 days by myself, and that was a time that I remember for the first time, like my faith was tested. Like,
you're traveling, and you're doing sports, and your faith is tested because you're in Austria? Like, what? This is the type of like Ivory Tower nonsense that I've been speaking of. This is the type of people that we have thinking that they're in charge of the ecclesia. These are not real people, man.
Believe this? Is this just your parents'
like,
faith? Are you gonna conform to the culture and share my faith with my teammates? They never heard of Jesus. I'm thinking this is my moment. Like,
wait. You're coming from Team USA and you have a team full of people who don't like. You can't claim from a town that of people who didn't all of them know Jesus, and then you go to a team that's Team USA with people from all over the country, and they don't know about Jesus. Really?
I've never met someone who didn't know Jesus. Like, I'm finally here. So I say it to say, I really did always kind of have an anchor of faith.
You know, I think that's a bubble problem more than anything. It's also very synthetic, but you know, showing her the fact that she was in a media bubble. You know, and even before that, she was from a small town. Okay, I'll give her that. But when she was what, like 10?
That doesn't mean I lived life perfectly. Absolutely not. I definitely had some rough teenage years and all the things that people go through. But I did always have a foundation of faith.
Whatever you qualify that, I had a rough teen years. You're qualifying the fact that you're saying, I'm not a perfect Christian. And you give yourself a way out. You give yourself a way to say, oh, well, you know, and I never was a perfect Christian. And it gives you a way to cover up your past.
What was it like in that particular season of life when, you know, you're in your early teen?
Let me just ask you a really softball question that has nothing to do with apologetics or, you know, Christianity at all. But what was it like whenever you were 14 and struggling while you were overseas in Austria playing sports?
Yeah.
There's already, you know, complications with friend groups and maturing and all that. How then did the being introduced to the limelight, how do you feel that affected you and your...
You know what? You know how it affected Huff? He got exactly what he wanted. Wesley got famous, bro. He got famous. Now he's nice and famous, and now he's got this nice career where he can sit here and talk about the horrors of combat from his HVAC controlled building, and you know, from his synthetic studio. And he always talks about how real he is, how so authentic it is. But you know what, man? It's not authentic. My studio is more authentic than his. Like, this man, it looks like it might be on a green screen.
Thanks.
Yeah, it was definitely a wild couple of years. Already, just because you're 14, 15, 16 years old and they're an influencer.
Yeah,
I was so blessed to do this alongside of my family. And for a long time, I was like the Duck Dynasty kid. Like, which did kind of bother me. I was just Willie's daughter. I was the Duck Dynasty girl. I was the Duck girl. And so I say it to say it wasn't just like me for a while. And so I got to see how my parents were stepping into it, and they led really well. They were very forefront on conversations we were having.
Wes Huff likes to talk about how he's a manuscript nerd. He's not a manuscript nerd because he doesn't know the manuscripts. He's just a nerd. Period. 12,
13, hearing my family say, you know, this is more than a TV show. If this can get the gospel out, you know, and if it went away tomorrow.
You're saying that your duck calling TV show is going to get the gospel out. Now, I do understand some of these guys, you know, come out and act holier than thou. They do their whole Christian thing and, you know, put their one hand on the Bible. What was the saying? Put one hand on the Bible and put the other hand in the air and lie. I think that was a Donald Trump quote from a long time ago. But yeah, on Ted Cruz, I believe. Anyways, this has been an awful time.
Or we don't need it, you know. I remember from the start hearing that. We knew the numbers were crazy, but like we.
See, like, when she says that, she's got this big old smell, and she's gloating with, like, the numbers were great, we were blowing up, you know, like idol possession, just thinking about the money.
Lived here, so we're pretty planted, but then whenever I was 17, I went on Dancing with the Stars, and that's whenever...
And then I was 17, I went on Dancing with the Stars, that's what?
My life pretty much personally changed, and I was hit with, like... a lot more of that pressure of fame, because it went from like...
Okay, you went on Dancing with the Stars and you had more pressure and fame at 17 and you couldn't... that was causing you a mental breakdown? You know, some 17-year-olds are in a trench. like fighting for their lives. Like some 17-year-olds are on the streets, and you're on Dancing with the Stars. It must be very, very difficult, you know, to live like Wes and to live like Sadie, the Duck Dynasty kid and the nerd.
You're the Duck Dynasty girl. You're in this job.
She said it again.
Like, I was known for me and who I was. And so I think that's whenever things got a lot harder. That's whenever people in my hometown started looking at me differently, and I was struggling with friend groups. And I felt like, I've said this before, but I really felt like,
you know, it's like I was struggling after being on TV all this time, and I couldn't make friends because I was so famous, and, you know, nobody could relate to me because I was so rich.
The whole world knew me, but I didn't know me. Like, I didn't know who I was, and I was being formed by people's opinions of me, and all of a sudden I have all these followers, but I don't have friends, and
You want to know why? Because you weren't found in Christ. You didn't find yourself in Christ. You found yourself, you know, Dancing with the Stars.
Experiencing fame at a young age.
Wow. So during that season of Wrestle, because I think a lot of ministry kids in general can
when he says that, ministry kids, it's so cringe. It's like being a military brat. It's like, shut up.
Relate to that. Like, I remember that as a pastor's kid. I'm friends with,
I believe it,
my parents' friends, kids, kind of, you know, like they're just coming over to the house and they're like, hey, how did you kind of walk through that season?
Yeah,
people
it's so wild to like think back to that time, because I was such a different person than I am now. So, you know,
okay, dude, so this has been tragically, like, absolutely terrible. And not just that, but Wes Huff is conducting just a softball interview, asking simple questions. He hasn't challenged her on anything because, you know, he's trying to have a really casual interview, and in doing so, the whole interview's kind of turned out pretty badly. You know, he's an Ivory Tower watchman, not a real one, and the people who you can judge people by the people they keep around them, and they're all non-authentic. They're all very fake. They're all academic as their shield. But when you start to look past what these people really are, you can't help but laugh, because they're clowns, man. They're actual clowns. It's like, do they understand what they're doing? Do they see themselves? Do they have no concept of what they're doing, and not just that, the fact that they're taking Christianity and using
a very shy kid, which is like surprising to people, because I speak and all this kind of stuff. That was not. Yes, I did speak when I was 5 years old on the countertop at home. Not
yes. Okay, here we go. Now she's going back to her prophecy, right? Because she was speaking on the counter at 5 years old as a kid. That was earlier. She called herself prophetic. Come on, what a bubble! Like, what a big head that you must have to think that you are a prophet.
Constantly battling the wrestle of fear and anxiety and just being shy and personality. And
there
so
was a cut there.
When I think back to that time, like even Dancing with the Stars, you are the light of the world. Like, you were called to be the light of the world. Like, think about the influence you can do. Like, you can do this.
You're being called to be the light of the world because you're going to be on Dancing with Stars. These two, her ego is so swollen that she's already said that she's prophetic. She said that her hardest times were at 17 on Dancing with the Stars, or before that when she was competing with Team USA. Like the amount of, I don't understand how this is nepotism at its best. And just like the other guy said, you know, being the pastor's son, right? You're that's your identity, and that's what you've grown into. You're still a child. Just all of these guys are still children. They can't have an academic conversation. They get shut down by everybody. That's why Wes Huff had that the Carson debate, I believe is called. And you know, I think he can't hold his own water. If this guy had an argument with me, it'd be like fighting a paper bag. He's going to come and bring his apologia, and I'm just going to bring my gladius. Okay? These people have no clue what they're doing. They're out of touch. They're rich kids. And that's the reason why their Christianity is so deep. Not because they've been tried by the fire. Not because they've grown with Christ through the pain.